Hi everyone, so today we're going to be diving into one of the most influential psychologists, B.F. Skinner, and his reinforcement theory. If you're into psychology or just curious about how behaviors are shaped, this theory might just be one of the most impactful ones you'll learn about. So let's get into it. So this is B.F. Skinner. He is an American psychologist and was one of the leading figures in the school of behaviorism. He's probably best known for his development of operant conditioning, a concept that's central to his reinforcement theory, which we'll get into later. But before we dive deeper, let's take a quick look at how Skinner got on his path through his early stages of life. So this is B.F. Skinner and his little brother. And B.F. Skinner was born in a small town in Pennsylvania, and he also grew up there his entire life. Him, his mother, his father, and his little brother all grew up in that small town. His father was a lawyer and his mother was a homemaker. So when he was growing up, B.F. Skinner always found that he was always fidgeting with gadgets, always trying to build something, always doing something. So then he decided to go to Hamilton College and pursue a career in writing. However, he didn't like that career. He couldn't find anything that really pushed him or drove him, and he just felt like it wasn't for him. So then he went back to college at Harvard University to study psychology. So once B.F. Skinner started his career in psychology, this is where everything started with the reinforcement theory. So while studying at Harvard, B.F. Skinner learned about John Watson and Ivan Pavlov. Both of these psychologists focused on classical conditioning, and that's the idea that behaviors are learned through association with stimuli. However, Skinner wanted to take these two psychologists and what they already built and add on to that. He wanted to take another step forward. So therefore, he wanted to introduce a new approach to behavior. And this was that he believed that behavior could be shaped not only just by stimuli, but also by consequences such as rewards or punishments. So because B.F. Skinner had this new theory carved from both Ivan Pavlov's and John Watson's theory, he needed something where he could test it, something where he can prove and see that it's actually working. So he decided to build the Skinner box. This is where you can really see he grew up loving to make gadgets and always fidgeting with something because he was able to build that on his own. Okay, so now Skinner made a box, but what does that box typically do? This box is a controlled environment for his experiences. So he would use rats and pigeons to perform behaviors in exchange for rewards, such as like foods or things like that, like a treat that would make them want to keep doing it again. This allowed him to directly observe how reinforcement influenced behavior. So an example of kind of like how this would work is Skinner would place a rat or a pigeon in there and then close it off. And then that animal would have to press a lever, and every time it pressed that lever, it would get a treat. But at first it would go by very slow because the pigeon or rat doesn't know every time it touches that lever it's going to be given a treat or just food. But over time it starts to learn that this lever indicates food, so it's going to keep pressing that lever for food. So now that we know the broad overall picture of this theory, let's dive a little deeper into different categories of reinforcement. There are two types of reinforcement, positive and negative. But what is reinforcement as a whole? Reinforcement is anything that strengthens the behavior, making it more likely to happen again. So when I'm talking about positive, this involves giving a reward to increase the likelihood of a behavior happening again. So like for the rat, this would be the treat. It's a reward. It's something they want. They want more of it. But what are some positive reinforcement for us on a day-to-day basis? Focus. Okay guys, so a way that we can see positive reinforcement is by a coach giving an athlete praise.
Good job, good practice.
Okay guys, so another way we can see positive reinforcement is by teachers giving rewards to their students.
Listen, you did so good on your test. I have some Play-Doh for you.
Thank you so much. So now that we got the gist on positive reinforcement, let's dive deep into negative reinforcement. So negative reinforcement involves removing an unpleasant stimulus to increase the likelihood of a behavior happening again. So let's go see some examples of this.
Kenzie, stop. Stop. Ken, this coach is coming. Put your phone away. You gotta start studying.
Guys, wait, no, what are you doing? No, stop. You can't be drinking caffeine.
Guys, Jenna's right. We don't want to get kicked off the team, and we need to stop. stop.
I'm just looking it up for you guys.
Yeah, you're right.
Enough.
You.
Oh, this alarm is so annoying. At least I'm not late. So those are just a few examples of negative reinforcement. But the two types of reinforcement, positive and negative, are both central to Skinner's theory, and they help explain how behaviors are learned and maintained. Now let's focus on punishment, because Skinner did not just focus on reinforcement. Punishment works a little bit differently. It's used to decrease the behavior either by introducing an unpleasant stimulus or removing something pleasant. So let's go see some examples of this.
Okay guys, for this drill we need 2 servers and 1 passer. Do you remember it? Okay, go ahead and start.
Not this again.
What, Mimi?
What? What's the problem, coach?
Are you talking back?
No.
Okay, 20 push-ups. You going with?
Jenna, you better be doing your homework.
I am, Mom.
That's not homework.
No, Mom.
You're grounded.
That's the sound of the police.
Are you intoxicated?
No.
Then walk in a straight line. You're drunk. You're under arrest.
So now that we saw positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, and punishment, how can we use this theory in the real world? So reinforcement has been widely applied to behavior therapy to treat conditions like autism. For example, positive reinforcement can be used to encourage social behaviors or communication skills in children with autism. Okay guys, so that is the entire theory. We have gone over everything, and I hope that you guys were able to form an opinion, but hold on to those opinions because I'm going to be asking you guys to share those at the end of the class. But first, let's go over my opinion. Overall, I really liked the theory. I really enjoyed learning and becoming educated on it, and I felt like there's a lot of different aspects that you could learn and apply in day-to-day life, or even just see and observe through just watching people and watching how your interactions occur through day-to-day basis. However, it's not perfect. One thing Skinner's theory doesn't really consider is what's going on inside our minds. It focuses a lot on observable behaviors, but doesn't address why we engage in certain behaviors. It doesn't really take into account emotions, motivations, or thoughts, which I kind of think is important when talking about this. However, I do like this theory from an aspect of my career, which is physical therapy. I feel like this is a good way to think about getting maybe like a child or a disabled individual to be able to get an exercise done or to help their bodies move in a way that needs helping. So I do think in that aspect it's really, really good. So that is everything. What do you guys think? What is your opinion? How can you see this in your career? And let me know. If you have any questions, please ask.